Welcome to the Jamal Thomas Show. My name is Jamal Thomas. It is not morning, it is evening. It is morning where I am. We're in the middle of a thunderstorm, but that is okay. We're not the only ones that are in the middle of a thunderstorm, right? Um, I thought it would be informative to give you the latest updates on what has been taking place because there's been a lot of news that have come out, and the news is rather important, significant, terrifying, interesting. All of those things. Those things are not independent of each other, right? So I wanted to go through some of the best photos of what seems to be Israel under bombardment. And what I mean by that is they seem to have lost the capacity to stop anything coming out of Iran. And yes, this is including with the US, I would imagine the UK doing what they can to effectively help. But all things being equal, when Iran fires something in the sky, it lands, and it lands with a devastating force. And for all of the talk of, oh my God, Iran is running out of missiles, some of this stuff is psychological, right? Like you are telling people we're about to bomb, and then nothing comes. And they're like, hey, maybe they're running out of missiles. And then all of a sudden, bam, all of these missiles hit. And it's like, oh my God, I guess they're not running out of missiles. And what does that do to psychology of the people who are under that bombardment, who are not used to being under bombardment? They're used to shooting kids in the back. They're used to shooting, starving people. They're used to shooting and killing women and children. They're used to burning kids alive. They're not used to those kids having missiles to fight back. They're used to bombing Lebanon, somebody who can't even fire a bullet in passionate anger and righteous indignation. That's what they're used to. So what happens when they're confronted with someone who can not just throw a rock, who can not just stand there and watch you as you take their land, but who can hit you with rage? Have you ever been hit by a man in anger? It's that, right? And what do you do when the man turns around and punches you square in the mouth? What did they say? Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Okay, Israel got their sneak attack in, working with Donald Trump to do it. Donald Trump, stupid enough to believe that this is going to be the end all be all. And come 48 hours, give or take, when they cobble their strength together and the bombardment starts. And initially, you feel pretty good about yourself. We're knocking their stuff out the sky. We're bombarding them too. And then it goes another day, and another day, and another day. And they're not stopping. And they say, not only are we not stopping, we can do this for 5 months. Not only are we expending our old missiles with you wasting your air defense on stuff that we had in the bank for 20 years, we have new stuff. We have better stuff. And now that you've expended your air defense, our drones can go through. And our drones have little bomblets on the drones that can also attack you. And we have missiles that have missiles within the missiles. Meaning, it sounded good in the beginning when they were riding on their high horse, rummaging through Ukraine, killing Russians and everything else. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong group of Nazis. When they had their first strike, when they were killing Palestinians, when they were killing people from the West Bank, when they were going into Syria, taking land in Syria, when they were killing the Lebanese, oh, it feels good. We feel great. We're Ubermen. We're God's chosen people. Look at those Muslims, these hapless Muslims that can't do anything about it. Oh, look at Iran. Iran, you looking sexy over there. Maybe we need to go after you. And Iran says, don't do it. And they look at all of the other people that they've been able to kill. We've been able to kill 100,000 people. Nobody did anything about it. We're acting with complete impunity. Iran says, the stove is hot. We warn you. We will fire off True Promise 1, and we will tell the U.S. where things are going to be so they can shoot it down. This is just a demonstration of capability. And they say you are weak because we're sociopaths, and we know that if you're not going to respond, that means you don't have the capability to respond. Okay. True Promise 2. We hit your base. We show that we can go through your air defense. And they say, we think you're weak. You didn't follow through. There was no True Promise 3. You just said it. You warned it and you didn't do anything about it. And so we think you're weak. We think your appeasement strategy of negotiation, we think your inability to follow through is not because you have that capability. We believe you don't have that capability. And in the middle of negotiations, you do a sneak attack. And what does that do to the rest of the world? The rest of the world says, okay, whatever Iran does to remedy this issue is fair game. And you've allowed a country that is a pent-up rage that has been brewing for decades, that have watched you murder and commit genocide. You've allowed that country to unleash holy hell, and to unleash it with a righteous indignation, with a passion that is phenomenal. And as you suffer, the world applauds. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? I want to show some of these images. These things are astonishing. And as I get to the end, I'm going to go into news that is happening also. This video maybe it's about 30 minutes, give or take. It will be interesting to watch what is happening. I'm going to enjoy some really good coffee as we watch this together. Let's be very clear. While we are enjoying this together now, and yes, I will use that term enjoy. Fuck it. I'm honest. There is hell to come. Just be aware. There are bad times that are going to come. There are going to be challenging times that are going to come. We are going to be at the brink of disaster. And it is going to be unclear where that breaks. And the notion of having rational people that are in charge to manage that, it's not on the table. Hubris, arrogance, those things are not elements of survival. But that is what our government effectively is full of. Hubris, bowel, racist, mendacious, all of these negative qualities that they have effectively filled themselves with, that they are operating in the world with. This is not the JFK administration where they are putting the military to the side and say, hey, go sit in the corner. We're not going to end the world. This is not the same situation. We have a TV host as the Defense Department, ahead of the Defense Department. We have a bunch of sycophants who are in all of these other organizations that effectively kiss Trump's ass fervently and you know, emancipatorily. And we have a president that is quite possibly one of the dumbest presidents we've ever had in American history. This is the situation which we're presented. And we have actors on the other side that is our opposition, that is cunning, that understands the situation to which they find themselves in a way that I don't think we do. And while they may have choices that they're making, they are also making their own strategic plans to deal with the strategic plans of empire that feels itself slipping, of power slipping away. One last point before I go into the videos. The media doesn't explain this correctly. And I don't even think they explain it honestly. I'm not even sure if they know. We have an empire in this country. And the empire is not just America by itself. It's effectively the white world. I don't mean that derisively towards white people. I'm just saying it's Europe, America, with America being the lead because America is the strongest country in that regard. You have Canada, you have Australia added to it. Sometimes you have Japan. But you have a power structure that has been in place ever since the Second World War, with the United States being the predominant power in that power structure. If you've noticed, we've been vomiting up very ridiculous figures in our political space. We have a government that's $36 trillion in debt that's probably going to go to $50 trillion in debt. That money is not used to the betterment of the population. That money is effectively used to enrich oligarchs. The public feels it, even if they don't entirely know it. But what they realize, almost as if you're playing a chess game where two people have made the choice of saying, hey, that square is important. And what that square is, let's say it's not a square, let's say it's a condition. The condition is, if we don't do anything and we let the world go to its own devices, China, Russia, Iran, hell, maybe even North Korea, These countries that end up in BRICS, South Africa, Africa proper, meaning the entire continent of Africa, these are going to grow and they're going to prosper. And they're going to grow and prosper in a way that is going to be militarily strong, industrially strong. If you're looking at Russia militarily, China industrially, that is going to be a force to reckon with. And hegemony is slipping away. It's multipolarity. Now, for all that Trump talks about it, oh, we're okay with this nonsense. That is not the way that is breaking down. They look at that with a certain amount of terror of that if we can't control the globe, maybe we will be dominated by that same globe, and we can't allow that. So you get a conflict in Ukraine using a proxy, with Ukraine as a proxy, basically using Nazis. That doesn't work. A level of desperation where they're literally bringing the world to the brink of disaster. They say, okay, so Europe, we need you to take that ball and deal with that. Israel, we need you to go after the countries in the Middle East because we want to now try to remedy that issue. So we're going to fill the Trump administration full of Zionists, whack jobs, lunatics, and we're going to go after Iran. It's by itself. We've been able to take down the other countries in the Middle East. Yes, it's taken 20-something years, but damn it, we have it isolated. So now we're going after Iran. Meaning, we want to be able to pivot to China. But it's not happenstance that the countries that we're going after just so happen are some of the major countries in BRICS and some of the major countries in opposition to US and European policy. Europe is not honest. They've destroyed all of these institutions that were supposed to be a hallmark of liberalism. And so what you have now is a hollowed out empire of sorts that is desperate, that feels its power slipping away and is gambling on these countries to effectively find a way to get that power back. I want to show some of these images because some of these images are just astonishing. And I would imagine the people in Israel never thought that this day would come. And I am very curious on whether or not they're going to blame their government for it, or if they're going to be like Germans and Austrians when the Soviets come into the country thinking to themselves, oh my God, what have we ever done to deserve this? First and foremost, as I always tell you, orienting principle first. This is where we need to start. Trigger warning, by the way, just in case. This is, start here. This is Israel.
Bam! That's it.
That was not a military target. There was no military in that. It was just hatred, racism, and bow. That's all it was.
Bam! That's it.
Nazis be Nazis, right? Let's go to the next one. This is what condition they put people in now as we speak. Where this man is collapsed as he was trying to get food. Collapsed as he was trying to get food. As you know, they've been starving the population for the last several years. And they've ended up with these BS areas for people to get food where they've been killing people as they've been trying to get food in these areas. This man was trying to get food and his body gave out on him as he was trying to get food. This is what Israel is doing as we speak right now. Let's keep going. I find this to be important, which is why I always orient it in this particular way. God apparently gave this point of view to the bird down to also make his feelings known.
אנרכיסט, הלו. עזוב את הדגל, בחייאת. אני בשוק. עורב, מה? אני בהלם. אני בשוק.
That bird is doing God's work. That bird is doing God's work. Let's go to the next one. Again, trigger warning, just for people to know. Over the last 24 hours, Israel is still bombing. They've killed 100 people. This is one of the camps that they've bombed. I think this is called Jambalaya in northern Gaza. Another image of that. Again, these are not military targets. And just be clear, to make this even worse, just so you understand why they're doing this. As they get taken apart by Iran, you can imagine there's a certain amount of rage that is building up in them as they get taken apart by Iran. A Muslim fist coming from the sky, bashing all of their belief in themselves. And what they can do, because they can't do it to Iran, they take it out on the Palestinian population. It's disgusting. But let's be very clear, they've been doing this for the last several years. So whether Iran is pounding them and they're making the situation worse, or whether they're just being vile, hateful, racist people, both of those things were happening anyway, right? So it's not like we can say, well, Iran is making this worse. Iran is not making this worse. They've been doing this for 2 years. Let's keep going. Now let's get into what I consider to be righteous vengeance. Righteous vengeance. First one, let's start here. I'm going to go through some of the strikes that have taken place just in general, and then I'm going to make this more specific in regards to the strikes that have been taking place over the last few days. So here is a list or a few of them while we
An Iranian strike deep in the heart of Tel Aviv. For the fifth straight day, the skies above the city lit up as Israel's air defense system intercepted one Iranian missile after another.
Didn't intercept the one that hit that building, did it?
Deep in the heart of Tel Aviv.
Okay, let's keep going. The next one we're going to watch is another, this one is, I guess, a view of several strikes. But again, I want to get more specific, but I want to give what has been taking place before I get into what has been taking place last night. Okay, somebody put a soundtrack. I don't need a soundtrack. Whew, this is some good coffee. What is that, Folgers? Yep, that is some good coffee. Let's keep going. Here's one more specific. This is what Tel Aviv is looking like today. Looks a little bit like Gaza, doesn't it? Ooh, that building's still smoking. That thing's still up. I don't know what he's saying, but I don't think it's, this is fantastic. Let's keep going. This, if I'm not mistaken, is another strike.
Wow.
I think he said, wow. Wow. That's a powerful missile. Let's keep going. Here's another one. You can hear it. Bam! Bird's eye view. Bam! Look at all the flak they threw into the air that apparently just missed. That is amazing. Let's go to the next one. So this one is a view what is happening on the ground. Shout out to person who did this. I suppose that was the last military strike we watched. Aftermath. That is amazing. Let's keep going. This is, this is the Weizmann Institute of Science. This is what it looks like today. This was one of their main technical centers, the schools. Emphasize was. Hey, maybe they can, get some science and tech to figure out how to rebuild that. But I don't get the sense that it's going to be a school anymore. Let's keep going. I have a few of these. If I'm not mistaken, this was a failed launch that fell back to Earth. What the hell are these people thinking? Let's keep going. What is this one? Oh, I know what this is. I would tell you one of my guilty pleasures is watching air defense fail. That was an Iranian strike that just nailed the air defense. And what's funny, it fired one off at the end. It's like, dude, it's too late. You missed. It's like you missed. It's like it got hit, and it was like, pew, after the fact. At the point at which you get hit, it's too late. It's too late. I appreciate your commitment to the job, but it's too late at that point. Here's the next one. This one is, IDF headquarters. Excellent. IDF headquarters. Come on, show it. You can hear it. Oh, there it is. Now, this hit is important, and I want to add more context. Let's watch it for right now. All right. IDF headquarters gets hit. Again, these are military targets. All right, the building's still standing. Now, what's important is that the command center, here's another view of it. You can see it in the background, taking a hit. And then you hit a shockwave. Ain't that cool? Speed of sound versus the speed of light. You see it, then you hear it. That's how much slower sound is compared to light. It's fascinating. We get a physics lesson also. Let's keep going. Now, this is inside Sorok Hospital, because this has been one of the things that have been going around. Now, I will be, come on. Right. I will be brutally honest with you. The reason I showed you Israel blowing up the cancer hospital is because Israel has attacked, damaged every hospital in Gaza. And they've had no issue with doing so. Now they're complaining that one of their hospitals got hit. Newsflash, the hospital didn't get hit. They built a hospital around the command center. And so in hitting the command center, or trying to hit the command center, there was blowback that ended up hitting the hospital. As you saw the shockwave, when you saw it, and then you felt the shockwave, you can hear it at that point. Imagine if you hit a command center in hospitals across the street or nearby the command center. Well, you can imagine any building that's in the area is going to take a hit. Nobody told Israel to use human shields, right? If they are building military bases under hospitals, or for that matter, building bases around hospitals, then you cannot be shocked, nor can you scream hysterically at the point where it experiences damage, especially when you have yourself been blowing up hospitals maliciously all throughout Gaza. Don't cry to me. Don't cry to me on this. I don't care. But beyond me not caring, the major point here is that they didn't just hit a hospital. That wasn't the objective. To make this point even clearer, I want to go to the next one. Here's another angle for this. The damage that took place in the hospital is a shockwave. Now, to make this point even clearer, here's a military base under a hospital. Every accusation is a confession. They put a military base under a hospital. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that amazing? The reason I'm showing this is because it's important. For them to try to manufacture this in the US media where all of a sudden they care about hospitals being blown up, they haven't up to this point, right? But for them to try to manufacture that particular consent, it's like, dude, you are literally building bases under your hospitals. How are you complaining? Dude, you have destroyed every hospital in Gaza. How are you complaining? How are you complaining to me? How are you really weeping tears to me when you have destroyed all of these devices in Gaza that people need? You blew up a fucking cancer hospital. Put that in context. People who already have a miserable fucking life because they have cancer in the hospital that they were going to, the last one. And because you are using human shields and your place gets tepidly hit, you should be praying, you should be thanking Jesus that it's still up. To make this point clear, and yes, I'm going to beat this horse into the ground. Jerusalem Post article. The Jerusalem Post article makes the point that they moved their command center near a hospital. Right here. Jerusalem Post article reveals how Israel intentionally built military facilities in close proximity to Socorro Hospital. An Israeli Army C4 Directorate base is located within the walking distance, as confirmed in a March article of Jerusalem Post. They chose to build their command center near the hospital. They chose it. Nobody forced them, they chose it. Why don't they go fight in the open? Is what they used to say. And to be very clear also, many of the people that were at that hospital were soldiers. They were soldiers. So there's that. Don't cry to me over this. You were blowing up hospitals maliciously. You lied and said that there were bases on the hospitals that you were invading and blowing up. You dressed up as doctors and went into hospitals in order to kill people in their beds. You attacked journalists in hospitals with missiles and bombs and whatnot. How are you crying about your hospital getting tepidly hit? Stop using human shields. Come out to fight like a man, right? Let's keep going. And one last point. Under Israeli rules, if there is even one guy, if there is one IDF dog walker that is in that hospital, it's fair game. That is what they were making when they were saying Hamas, hey, we found a gun here, so this is fair game. We can blow up an apartment building. Even if there's 100 people in that apartment building, if there's one guy in it, it's fair game. These are not my rules. I think these rules are grotesque. These are the rules that Israel and the US ran with, and thought it was perfectly okay. Why are you crying now? That's my question. Why are you crying now? Let's keep going. Here is more damage. This one is to the financial sector. You can imagine that this is going to hurt because it's in the financial sector. Right here. Apparently, they lost several $1 billion over the course of the day. Oof. That is rough. $475 billion up in smoke. Just like that. Man, this is some fantastic coffee. What is this, Folgers? Nestle coffee, Nestle Gold. Whew, this is some good coffee. Let's keep going. Here's another view of it. That building. That's what happened. Let's keep going. There's more. There is more. All right. Stop that siren. It's getting annoying. I think I showed that one already, so we don't have to show this one again. Let's go to this one. This is, oh, okay. Now we're in the damage portion of the skits. So let's show this. This is the aftermath of some of the damage they're dealing with. Tel Aviv, not Gaza. I wonder, did they know when they were destroying Gaza in the way that they were in Lebanon and Syria and the West Bank? Did they know this day was coming? Or did they think they were going to be able to do this with impunity forever? Here's more damage. That is some good camera work. That is some fantastic camera work. Kudos to the cameraman. Let's keep going. There is more. Here's more damage from the barrage of his Iranian missiles. I think this took place either today or yesterday. Wow. That is impressive. Whew. Don't piss off the Iranians, right? Don't piss off the Iranians. This is Haifa energy production. That's why you saw him in the gas station the other day, limiting fuel. Let's keep going. And I think Garland made this joke about Samsonite auction. Garland Nixon, I think, said that Samsonite auction. Chosen people went to their chosen flight. Where are you going? So what? You're not happy squatting in somebody's house anymore? Here's an exodus. No. It's gone with the Samsonite option. All right, let's keep going. Now, on the other side, what you have is a little bit different. Whereas the Israelis are freaking out, they're in bomb shelters and everything else, what you have on the other side is effectively celebration. This is them celebrating their government, showing solidarity, proud, strong, resolute. They're not hiding in bomb shelters. They're not running away. That's strength. Whereas one side seems to be falling apart. The other side seems to be remaining strong and consistent. That matters. That matters greatly. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now we're in the portion of news. There is a looming question that I don't think any of us know. Well, for one, apparently Israel tried to assassinate Argachi, this guy. This is the lead negotiator for the Iranian side. Apparently they tried to kill him. He's alive, so thankfully he's still alive. In regards to the news portion is fascinating. There are a few things that are taking place. One, Seymour Hersh put out an article where he's effectively saying that Donald Trump is planning a military campaign with the point of regime change. And in that campaign, it's supposed to take place over the course of several days. In fact, I'll just show it. And I'll read parts of this just for accuracy. Shout out to DD Geopolitics, Sarah Bill's outlet. She's fantastic. Not just beautiful, there's a brain behind it. Even better. American investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, in his latest Substack article, wrote a major U.S. bombing campaign against Iran is expected to begin as early this weekend, according to trusted Israeli and American sources. Approved by the Trump administration, the strikes will focus on key military and nuclear infrastructure, including fortified Fordow facility, where Iran's most advanced centrifuges are located deep underground. The delay in timing, Hersh reports, is due to Trump's desire to avoid disrupting U.S. markets when trading opens on Monday. Now, it needs to be stated that Putin pointed out that Iran's centrifuges and everything else are intact. That the bombing that Israel has done has not touched them. And that many of those things have been moved to safe locations. Again, for all of the talk about bombing this location, this facility, this is not about nukes. It's not about nukes. Even our own assessment makes it clear. And if our own assessment is saying they're not trying to get a nuke, then why all the talk about nukes? It's not about nukes. Let's keep going. The operation goes beyond targeting Iran's nuclear capacity. It aims to destabilize the country's leadership. U.S. and Israeli planners are counting on internal unrest to break out, hoping that the strikes on military bases, police stations, and administrative centers will incite broader opposition. Hersh says that they even unconfirmed reports that Ayatollah Khomeini may have left Tehran. Okay, I think this is nonsense. But again, this is effectively what you're getting out of hopeful media as opposed to actual media. And he's not saying that that's what's happening. He's saying that they are reporting that. I don't believe much of anything that comes out of Iranian media. And even, just as much, I even believe our own media. It's often nonsense. While some in Washington still favor installing a moderate religious figure to lead the country in a transitional phase, Israeli officials reportedly reject and pushing instead for full political control and a loyal replacement. So in their minds, what they want is either we want to destroy the Iranian government and put in a puppet that is going to transition into something else that's more in our favor, or we want the Syrian model, where we have a completely loyal puppet that effectively smashes the entirety of the state. And we are going to bomb civilian infrastructure, architecture, in order to create and foment that change like they did in Libya. That's astonishing. I would say Iran is not Libya, and this may be their plans, but let's see if these plans can come to fruition. As I pointed out to you before I started this, they are very dark times coming, and monsters are at the gates. I wasn't saying that figuratively, I was saying that literally. So what is everybody else doing, major powers? Because obviously Russia and China have a vested interest in not seeing this coming to fruition. Well, as you know, China has been giving deliveries hand over fist from the beginning of this. They put out a condemnation and they've been sending ships, airplanes, cargo planes full of materials that allow Iran to withstand. Not just that, though. Look at this. This is a Chinese electronic surveillance ship in the Persian Gulf. Ain't that something? So China is in the Persian Gulf also getting intelligence. And who do you think they're giving the intelligence to? Who do you think they're giving it to? Ain't that fascinating? Let's go to the next one. This is Putin. Listen to what Putin says here, because I don't think Putin says stuff arbitrarily. If they're giving out a sentiment, you have to kind of listen to it to figure out what does he mean by it, because they can be somewhat understated. What he is saying here, though, in relation to, hey, we have nuclear scientists, hundreds of them, in Iran. Don't touch those sites. That's effectively what you don't touch them. Don't touch them. We have Russian scientists there helping them build their nuclear power plants. Leave them be. Listen to what he says.
Мы, как вы знаете, в свое время подхватили проект в Иране, который осуществлялся немецкими компаниями, и достроили атомную электростанцию Бушер. Мы заключили контракт на строительство еще 2 блоков. Работы идут, и наши специалисты находятся на площадке. Это свыше 200 человек. И мы договорились с руководством Израиля, что будет обеспечена их безопасность.
Now, do you honestly believe that their safety is ensured in the way that Putin is saying? Second question, are those people a tripwire? Are they a tripwire? If you kill several Russian scientists because you bomb a nuclear facility after telling Russia, or apparently having some agreement that you wouldn't do that, what does Russia do in that situation? Isn't that interesting? So Russia has effectively allowed themselves a way to get on the ground to, on some level, shield nuclear facilities. And just be very clear, this is what the Europeans wanted to do in Ukraine, right? The thought being, well, the Russians are not going to attack us. So if we put troops on the ground in Ukraine, they won't kill our troops because we're Europeans. We're fucking awesome. We think highly of ourselves. Our lives are important. And if they attack us, maybe we'll get more militarily involved so we can be a tripwire. That was the thinking. The problem with that thinking is that Russia has said flat out, we will kill all of you. We will hunt you down and kill you. A country of 8 million people does not have the balls to say that. So for Russia to say, just so you know, 200 of us are there, and you can fill in the details of how we are going to take it if they are injured to any degree. That is the way I read that. That is the way I read that. All right, let's keep going. There's more. You also get Russia that is being more vocal now about these plans that are coming out for regime change, because at this point they know, just like China knows, the objective of this is to take down the Iranian government. Now, as I said before, they are going to let this play out because they want to see how does this unfold before we throw our chips on the table. We need to see what happens. We cannot, escalate without seeing what the contours of the space is before we escalate. So we will watch, and we would assist Iran in any way we can assist Iran against what we know is U.S. aggression from the standpoint of empire, with Israel as a proxy. But keep in mind, the more the U.S. touches it, the more they get involved, the more of a likelihood, especially if Iran starts to wobble, the more of a likelihood for these other countries to start to get more vocal in their opposition to what is happening. And the fact that it's become very clear that the U.S. is going to get involved, as I kept saying they were, you're starting getting strongly worded statements coming out of Moscow in a way that you were not before. This is Maria Sakharova. I like the suit that she's in, by the way. She looks very badass in that suit.
Stop attacks on nuclear installations, and Russia calls on the Israeli leadership to come to senses and immediately stop attacks on nuclear installations and sites under safeguards and subject to IAEA verification activities. And we're particularly concerned about the safety of the Bushehr nuclear power plant, which employs Russian specialists. Today, the main thing is to prevent further spiraling of violence, to achieve ceasefire and restore peace, which in turn will create the prerequisites for bringing the situation back to the negotiation table. We would like to particularly warn Washington against military intervention in the situation, which would be an extremely dangerous step with truly unpredictable negative consequences.
Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. We would like to warn Washington that you intervening will have unpredictable consequences to your intervening. Let's be very clear. Russia could pull out their scientists. They could say, this is problematic. We don't want these people to get hurt. We are pulling them out. We're bringing them back to Russia. We could do that. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're not pulling them out. They're in the middle of a war zone. And yet Russia is leaving them there. And their secondary saying, in a very understated way, something that I've said, you have no idea the hell you're about to create, because you don't know, A, the capability of Iran, even by itself, B, You have no idea if other countries start to get involved. And are you really willing to take that path when it's radically unpredictable? This goes to where I started. Hubris, arrogance. These things are not aspects of survival. These things are not survival traits. But these are the things that Washington is full of. And so you're getting Russia effectively saying, hey, and look, we don't know if there's anything behind that, right? It could just be a warning. But hey, you militarily intervening will have unpredictable consequences to the region. Beware. Don't do it. You get Peskov, who also gave his point of view in this. Peskov was asked a question about it. This is what Peskov had to say.
И это говорит о том, что, конечно, насколько Запад сейчас в состоянии вообще свергнуть тем или иным путем правительство Ирана. Ну, если мы вспомним с вами встречу, которую накануне провел президент Путин с руководителями международных информационных агентств, когда ему задали вопрос по этой теме, он сказал, я даже не хочу об этом говорить. И это говорит о том, что, конечно, это является совершенно неприемлемым. Сама постановка такого вопроса является для нас неприемлемым. Мы считаем, что это непозволительно вести такие разговоры, и тем более непозволительно предпринимать такие действия.
We believe it is entirely unacceptable to us to even have the conversation, like to even countenance this, to even bring this up to us is unacceptable. Now, again, is that a strongly worded letter, or is there something else behind that? There's a question that looms in the air. I don't have an answer to it. And sociopaths don't care. They don't believe appeasement and those type of things. But this is hitting at something that is significant. It is not minor. If Russia looks at the geography for a moment, and they say to themselves, okay, if Iran is gone, we are going to be damaged by this. And we're going to be damaged by this in a way that Washington is going to come back around to isolate China and Russia. Now, yes, China could probably get its gas from somewhere else. But, I was on Canadian Preppers, and he said something I didn't even think of. The moment that Iran is taken down, and you have effectively a compliant government in Iran, they own energy production in the entire region. Saudi Arabia is going to be under that much more pressure, where it's going to be that much more of a Quisling government. And so you now have Western powers, effectively led by the United States, owning and controlling massive energy sector. Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable? All right, one more. At least I thought there was one more. Maybe there's not one more. Yes, there is one more. Putin, in having a conversation, pointed out that the Iranians have not asked them for help. And he even went so far, right here, there's one more, this. Listen to what he says here, and I know it's in Russian. And again, they have this way of talking in very understated ways. But he points out, look, Iran didn't ask us for help. At least not yet. And it's the not yet part that I am fascinated by.
Мы когда-то предлагали нашим иранским друзьям поработать в области системы ПВО. Так большого интереса тогда партнеры не проявили. И все. Что касается договора, о котором сказали, о стратегическом партнерстве, там нет статей, связанных с оборонной сферой. Это второе. А третье, наши иранские друзья об этом и не просят. Так что практически нечего обсуждать. Мы когда-то предлагали нашим иранским друзьям поработать в области системы ПВО. Так большого интереса тогда партнеры не проявили, ну и все. Что касается договора, о котором мы сказали, о стратегическом партнерстве, там нет статей, связанных с оборонной сферой. Это второе. А третье, наши иранские друзья об этом и не просят. Так что практически нечего обсуждать. Мы как
Maybe I misunderstood that, or maybe I have the wrong clip. I could have swore in one of those clips he pointed out they haven't asked us for anything. Effectively, they don't, we've offered, they didn't accept. But there was a yet in it. Maybe I got it wrong. Okay, I didn't get it wrong. It is this clip. It is this clip. It is this clip. Wait a minute. Where is it? Okay, I'm not insane. So it's this part. It wasn't something that he said, or he said it, but it was off the clip. So Putin, he says, Iran didn't want our help. If the situation escalates, we'll see if they will need help. Iran agreement does not have defensive clause. Iran did not ask Russia for help. Iran did not want cooperation with Russia on air defense previously. They fight alone, they're proud, they're self-reliant. So effectively leaving the door open, hey, they didn't want our help yet. They may want it at some point. We'll see when the situation escalates. So again, my point that for people screaming, why isn't China or why is not Russia not getting involved? They need to see what happens. It has to play out before they decide what they actually want to do. Maybe America backs away. I don't think that's the case, but maybe they do. Maybe Israel gets brutalized to such a degree when Netanyahu falls and something else happens. Meaning they don't know. They may have an idea of what happens, but they don't know as a flat fact what happens. So this is where we are. Let's go through the chats because I'm curious on your guys' thinking on this.